proven that gives you a chance of winning this as a contender?
Yes, there are. The first is the historicals, which we've talked about. Clearly, the historicals favor the ruling party in Lagos State. Last election, they won all 20. This election, they won 15 out of 20, both at the presidential and at the House of Reps. Those three key indicators: last election, gubernatorial in Lagos State, where they won all the 20. Presidential election in Lagos State, the APC won 15 out of 20. House of Reps, the APC won 15 out of 20. At the Senate, out of the 3 senatorial districts, the APC won 3 out of 3. Those are trends that will make Jimmy Agbaje currently uncomfortable. We can also look at the profile of all 13 previous governors of Lagos State. If that slide is...
Yeah, let's take a look at that. That's the probability one, isn't it?
That's the probability one.
Okay, let's look at that. And so that, that has to do with what? The day of birth. And okay, that should pop up, shouldn't it? Go ahead.
Now, what has happened is, let's look at how football elections are often predicted. If Sunderland, for example, goes to Old Trafford, the pundits will look at how many times Sunderland has gotten a victory at Old Trafford. So if out of 200 times, it's shown that they've lost all...
There we have the slide.
Yeah, they've lost all 200. Then most likely you will place a bet on the Man United winning when Sunderland comes to Old Trafford. Same thing with the other clubs, without disrespect to Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal. A lot of football followers look at historicals and look at the number of victories they've recorded against the opposing clubs. Interestingly, everyone who is alive today, or who has also been the governor, is born between the 1st and the 31st. Everybody, living and dead. Now, that's 1st to 31st calendar dates can easily be broken into 3 parts. So you have governors that are born between the 1st and the 10th. You have 6 previous governors. Excuse me. You have 6 previous governors in Lagos that have been born between the 1st and the 10th. If you now look at between the 11th and the 20th, you only have 2 governors. Those 2 governors currently are late. You have the late Sir Michael Otedola and Bola Mudashiru. Now, if you look at between the 21st and the 31st, which is the 3rd and last range, you also have 5 governors. So you see a large percentage of all governors in Lagos State were born between the 1st and the 10th and the 21st and the 31st. In simple terms, the probability of being a governor is higher when you're born between the 1st and the 10th or the 21st and the 31st. Currently, Akinwumi Ambode was born on the 14th. Now, even though all discussions we've had before this clearly shows that the APC most likely will win, this analysis of the profile of past governors clearly shows that there's an 85% probability. 11 out of 13 governors are born within 2 ranges.
But if he was born on the 14th, he falls between that 11th to 20th.
He falls between that 11th to 20th. And only 2 governors.
Only 2 governors have become... Yeah, only 2 people have been governors.
Have been governors that have been born between the 11th and 20th. 6 governors born between the 1st and the 10th. Another 5 governors born between the 21st and the 31st. So based on the profile of previous governors, there's an 85% probability that he will not be governor. This is just strictly looking at it the way football followers will look at results. However, you remember we had an exclusive discussion on this on this studio where we looked at the Greek mythology on the fort, where we talked about the general, the general contesting for the 4th time in the 4th Republic for a 4-year term.
For Section 134 of the Constitution.
Now, interestingly, we have 13 governors, previous governors in Lagos State. Today's results, or today's election, is for who will be the 14th governor. Akinwumi Ambode was also born on the 14th. So that is one part that will make him happy.
But for the number 4, according to the last analysis we had, you gave us for the presidential race, that unique number 4 was like a stone that you can step on to become president. So could he be gone in for the president as well?
No, not necessarily. There's also a lot of Greek mythology about the number 14, which we probably can't discuss it all here. But it's interesting when you have this sort of coincidence with the Greeks as well, where you're most likely going to be the 14th governor, and you're also born on the 14th. Two numbers that you will not find in the history of Lagos State. That information will be something Akinwumi Ambode will be interested in. However, what Jimmy Agbaje would really be interested in is the odds based on the profile of previous governors. The odds favor Jimmy Agbaje. Jimmy Agbaje was born on the 2nd. He was born on the 2nd of March. So he falls within that profile, that 1st to 10th, where you have most governors born.
6 of them.
6 of them, exactly. So Jimmy Agbaje falls in that profile. Akinwumi Ambode falls in the profile of only 2 governors. Again, we talked about Michael Otedola and Gbolahan Mudashiru. Those are the only 2 governors that fall between the 11th and 20th. That is where Akinwumi Ambode falls in. That is what will probably be giving him sleepless nights tonight. However, he probably has some respite because it falls on the 14th ladder. He wants to be the 14th governor. He was born on the 14th. Jimmy Agbaje will be hoping that doesn't happen for him.
But but the other thing that happens especially when you go to football, those coaches will tell you, well, look, those form books, they're just numbers. But it's the current form of those players when they get into the field.
They're just numbers, but you need some, and that's why we've looked at all the bases to predict this result. We've looked at the previous performance of the political parties based on actual results. So we've looked at the local governments, we've looked at the total results, and we're done with that. We're now taking it a bit deeper. We're looking at the profile of all previous governors. And I think this gives the audience sufficient information to relax. There's a probability that the PDP candidates will win it. If you look at the demography or the profile of previous governors of Lagos State, that is what the PDP will be holding strongly onto. For the APC, they will be holding strongly to their track record of 2011, where they won all the local governments. They will also be holding on to their current form, where they've won 15 out of 20 local governments. And it will be interesting. Let's all wait patiently. Let's not get violent about it. Let's relax. And let's actually wait for INEC to release this result and congratulate one another on whatever happens. It's going to be an interesting result, whatever happens.
Well, let me bring in on this one in terms of looking at all of this. Just permutations, but then there are those who will just really wrong with this and say, well, but then today's elections will be different reasons for different people to go out there and cast their votes. But in terms of the turnout, we've been told, just hang on, let's wait and see how the whole thing went on first. But reports coming through from many areas just think that the turnout, not as high, the intensity, perhaps not as it was with respect to the presidential elections. Yet we say all politics is local. What could have been the reason why maybe there were people who just felt no need to come out and vote on this one?
A lot of reasons will account for the low turnout of voters across the nation for the governorship and House of Assembly elections. The first, of course, is that the theory of enthusiasm. The last election we held was 2011. At that time, about at least 40% of those who voted on the 28th of March were not of age in terms of whether they were 18 years old as of 2011. So there is this enthusiasm amongst those group to want to experience what it means to be qualified to vote by virtue of age. So those people were among the people who trooped out en masse on the 28th of March to come and exercise that mandate for the very first time in their lives. And having done it, it seems that they are fulfilled in one way. The second thing is the build-up to that election generated so much hype, generated so much tension. If you are monitoring the social media, the impression you get is that Nigeria was going to go up in flames. There was so much of hate speeches, there was so much of allegations, documentaries running here and there. So, and then, you know, there were predictions that after 2015, Nigeria was going to break up, you know, by so many people. So there was so much enthusiasm on the part of people also to go there and find out whether indeed this will be true. And a lot of things have been said about that particular election concerning preparations to